So I took another Adventure Crystron list to logos. We've been trying a few different variants. We've tried Adventure Crystron with the lower card. We've tried Adventure Crystron with Tidal. We've tried Adventure Crystron with Kassira and Azamina. And they've all been great. They've all been performing quite well. But this time, I wanted to play a 60 card Adventure Crystron list without the other supplementary engines. They're good. Like the Kassira cards, what they add, what they help facilitate, they're an awesome engine. But I wanted to simplify it and just play Adventure Crystron itself with just a bunch of non-engine. So there was 5 rounds of Swiss. Round 1, I go up against White Forest. Round 2 was Memento. Round 3 was Argo Stars, Fiendsmith. Round 4 was Mermail. Round 5 was Malice. I ended up drawing with Memento and losing the last round against Malice. And then top 8, I get cooked by Malice again. And I'm like, oh, fair enough. So let's start off with our Speed Road engine, Terratop. And your Takutan board, this card's insane. This is what allows this deck to even work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work as well. This lets you bridge into any of your engines, right? Whether you're missing Adventure, you're missing Crystron, you send either or. And going second, it applies a lot of pressure because it's a 1-card SP to allow you to basically force interactions, right? SP force banish, they chain SP, just insane amount of pressure. And then, of course, you're playing your Burial because it's essentially the same thing. This gets you to either engine. And because we're playing 60 cards, this is why I'm playing Grass. If you saw the gameplay, if you saw the matches, you saw the amount of times I drew this was absurd. He was like, this shouldn't happen. The math just doesn't make any sense. Why am I drawing this so often? And this is basically the same thing. This gives you access to anything, right? Because odds are you're going to mill both engines, which is quite nice. The only issue I found with this card is that when you don't open up with Adventure or you don't get your Fateful out of the deck alongside your Griffin, hurts you in that sense. But for the most part, it was quite nice. You just play with your Grave. And I think I should have kept the card in because I'm playing this card, but I'll get to that later. And then you have your Adventure engine, you have your Griffin, you have your triple, and your triple. I'm usually on 1 if you watch the past deck profiles, but for this video, since I played 60 and I needed to increase the card count to get to 60, I just ended up putting more of the engine that I'm playing. So triple right, 1 Adventure Fateful, 1 Dracoback. It's just because you go through Cherubini, and why wouldn't you send this if you're able to? It just doesn't make any sense. It just seems so good. Into a board, when you simplify it, and when you're attempting to crack a board, it's just an insane card. Being able to have these two as going second engine, like this into SP, now that you force some interactions, and now you go over this bounce, threaten an Omni, it just seems like a lot of pressure, which is really good. And being able to reinforce your Crystron board with another Omni is quite nice. And just the pressure you have with the bounce to add back every turn after turn, it's just insane. And since we increased our card count as well, we're playing triple of these guys. In the past builds, I've been playing only 2 of each, which I think you can get away with 2. I think 2 is the minimum you can play. I even tried 3 at one point, but there comes a time where you need to summon off of Trist, right? Because sometimes you draw 1, and then you summon 2 off of the Trist effect, and then you need to summon 1 off of a Trist field effect, and you don't have that one. So I kind of need the 4th one. So you can play 4, but you can also do the ratio with 3 and 2 or 3 and 1, but at least 4 minimum. Then, of course, keeping up your 1-card starters, because it's a hard card count deck, you still want to maintain consistency. Your triple smiger gets you access to your conclusion, allows you to set up your SP, right? Link it away, go for Clockwork Ignite, summon something else, go SP. I can help you make Cherubini. Sometimes people negate Terratop, which is, I guess, I can see some logic within that, forcing them to contribute more cards to the field, I guess. And then you have your one of Thystvern and your Pasiortle. I was initially playing this one as well, but I ended up cutting it. But for this variant, I don't know why I cut it. I should have kept it in, because seeing how important SP is for this deck going second, being able to go Grass and then milling this, and then starting our turn with get a token, link it for Clockwork Knight, summon something else, throw an SP there. It just seems like, what? I should have just kept it in. But Turtle is important because it allows you to go for SP lines. SP is such an integral part to this extra deck because it allows you to pressure going second. Being able to go summon, link this away for your Clockwork Knight, effect of this guy without having to be locked by its own effect. Dump, and then go SP, spot removal, they chain SP is, oh, it's just insanely good. And then you have your Chisaros. Once again, I was playing this at 2, but then because I increased their card count, I just maxed it out because milling it is not the worst, drawing it is not the worst either. Being able to pair it with this guy is not the worst. Yeah, so it's pretty good just to have it. It's not necessary, but something that I noticed and I realized as I was playing it is the only thing that you'll notice is cluster recycling, because sometimes you're kind of hesitant on what you recycle off cluster when you get into a simplified grind game. You're like, oh, damn, what do I return? A Tesaros? Do I return another 5? When you max out these cards, you don't ever contemplate that. It doesn't really matter what I return off clustered effect. But it's pretty good. And then you have your C3. She's quite necessary to allow you to go for your Corian Ganrax lines, which is pretty good. And some of the cool things you can do with her is being able to summon her off of your Sofufnir, which is quite nice. Sometimes if you feel like you're going to get OTK'd, you just go into your Alesk. LS adds back something for the following turn. LS gets destroyed by any means, like battle or card effect. You float into your Sofufnir, assuming you have it engraved, and then that's another body block, and then Sofufnir flows into her, and then she can synchro into something else, and then it's just good to have. And then you have your Inclusion. This card's amazing. This card's insane for this deck. it's so good. Searches you any card you want. It's a reborn. It's insane. Then you have Cluster, of course. This card's insane in the Malice matchup. All of your cards cannot be banished. As long as you can find a way to protect it and keep it on field, it's good. I'm just waiting for a Synchro or some Crystron support where it can place this from deck or activate these from deck. That'd be cool. Get easier access to it. And you need, because since you have such a big engine, right, you need to counterbalance it, right? And that's why you play so much non-engine, right? You play your triple Nib, your triple Ash, triple Ogre, triple Droll, triple Veiler, triple Imperm, triple Droplets, right? It's just to counteract the amount of engine that you have, because the engines are strong going second, but not strong to the point where you can break almost every single time, right? Because odds are you can possibly break a board with no hand traps, but if they have hand traps and the board, the engine is not that resilient. So you need to find a way to simplify it, and this is the way to do it because it's just such a high card count deck. You have to 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So being able to just see this is just necessary. So it's like a 40-20 split where you have non-engine and then engine, right? And this is a last minute change. This should have been Rosenix, but I don't know. I was just trying it out. But for sure, if I'm playing this deck again, this should be Rosenix. And then, of course, you have your Called by the Grave and your Triple Crossout. These were initially in the side, but because I wanted to test something, I ended up having to move this into the main deck because I had no room, which is kind of silly because it's a 60-card deck. How can you not have room? It's just like OCD type of thing. Not necessarily like a very mathematical approach. It's just... and then you have your side deck. You have your Duster, your Storm. This is for people backward, people siding Solemns and stuff against forcing the Malice board, getting rid of the field, getting rid of the back row, then dropping Chaos Hunter. It's insane. Encore for Dweller mainly, and Raizio. And this is what I was siding. This is what I needed to make room for. So these were the crossouts, and this was the called by. But I wanted to test this because of the extra deck. There's a way to recycle this, right? So you just hit it up against Blue Eyes, against any Fiendsmith variant. It's quite good because you can just keep them oppressed. Use it once, use it again. That's pretty insane. Then, of course, you have your triple Lancia and your triple Chaos Hunter for Malice. And that's pretty much it. This can be interchangeable. You can change it. You can have your own side deck. And then, of course, you have your extra deck. You have your Coin Gandrax. This is how you recycle your Cycle Reader. You typically would go use Cycle Reader, effect, banish the tuner from grave or field, pop a card on the field. You can even pop itself and then add it back, right? But usually you go effect this, banish this, pop a card on the field, Tristaros, pop this, and then you summon Sofador and Tristaros, and then you go chain 1 Sofador, chain 2 this, add this back. That's a pretty cool way to do it. And then you have the 1 Alesk. You can juggle one, it's fine. And then you have your Samurai Destroyer, you have your Dragster, your Core Dragon, only because you're playing Adventure. You need a 6, and this is the best one going second to break, just to spot removal. Same thing for Catastor, you just want spot removal. You want your extra deck to be as resourceful as possible because you're already limited to machine locks, right? So I feel like I want to have utility. And then, of course, this one off of Yassine's list against Pure Rizio. This paired with Nib is insane because usually what happens is they'll go into dual drive to search for their cross, and then that's how they check your Nib. But if you do this on their first two bodies, they have to extend, right? So they have to go to another one, that's 4, and then when they go for dual drive, they're nib range, right? And then that's when you nib them, which is quite nice. And against a Caesar attempt against Blue Eye Synchro Climb, it can come up. And this is another way to recycle the Psycho Eater. So for those of you that don't know what this does, is this basically, when it's Synchro Summon, you can add back a machine from your graveyard. And that's how you add this back. And just keep doing it again. It's like a niche thing that can do, but I was just testing it. I didn't get to do it, but the intent was there. And then, of course, you have a Typhon. It's so oppressive sometimes. If you pair it with Cluster, it's insane. And, of course, you have your Infinity. And then SP. This card is so important in this extra deck because it's what allows you to go second a little bit better, right? Through your Terra Top. It's just, this card's insane, and this is extra deck so insane. And, of course, Cherubini. And this is basically, these are basically the dynamic duo here. That you need him to climb into this to then get the option to banish something. But that's basically the list. I think the only change I would make would be take this out and put in the Rosenix, just so I can apply pressure, assuming I mill it, right? And maybe you can play Thrust, I guess, just so you can see grass a little bit more consistently, right? You add Thrust in, be able to get this. I'm not sure, but it was fun. But that's basically going to be it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.